All right, now being shortly after 6:15, I'll call the, what is today's date? I don't even have the agenda.
17th.
June 17th meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. This meeting is being recorded for cablecast and YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media. The video of this meeting is not to be considered an official public record. So first item on our agenda, we've got Scott Ripley, our highway surveyor, to talk about his proposal for cemetery fees. So Scott, take it away.
Basically, I need to increase our overtime. This is how it started. Our overtime is way off from what we're charging, less than what it actually costs to have the guys come in and do a burial. So I needed to adjust the overtime rate of the interment charge for Saturdays and after 2. And looking at it, I did a price survey, which is the first page, what the other towns are. We are way below other. Halifax just went up, and we're a little bit below them. So I basically went over and did an adjustment of the next page. Is just an adjustment of what I'd like to propose to go up in prices. Just so it covers the overtime, kind of brings us a little closer to what the other towns are. You can see I do have listed some private cemeteries. And you can see how high the private cemeteries are compared to the municipal cemeteries and what we're charging. Same with the interment charges, is that we're just way down to what we should be. So basically the proposal is just to make back the money that we're losing on the overtime and to basically bring us a little closer to what other towns are charging. I didn't go up a lot, a few bucks, just to kind of get us rolling, get it closer to what it should be.
Any questions for Scott?
No.
Do you have anything, John?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So basically, Scott, this is just to cover our costs so that it's no longer costing the town money.
The other thing was the monument charge I found out too was different depending on what monument company I was talking to, what we had written down. So this was just to get something all on the same page. We're all same price, everything, something uniform, something that I can have. Because even what I have on the website is different than what I have in my office for pricing. So just to make it all even, all the same, and to, like I said, slightly increase everything to bring it closer to other towns. And coincidentally, Halifax just went up in December, and Friday I received a call from Carver. They're going up in their prices, and they wanted to see what we were charging, because they're going to go up already in their. But that's it, just to, you know.
Okay.
Oh, the other thing was a winter charge. We don't normally do winter burials, but on the website, it did say something about we could do winter burials, and if we did, the charge would be depending on the situation. There was no set price. So I don't like to do winter burials because we don't have the equipment to do it really. But most towns are $100 extra, so that's what I'm just going to propose, is $100 if we decide to do one, if the situation warrants it. Because the way it was worded before in the rules and on the website is like, maybe we'll charge something and this will be this price, and so this is just makes it uniform.
Just clarify one thing.
Sure.
So if a resident buys a lot and then moves out of town,
Yep.
there's no upcharge to them, right?
Nope, they're
Once
just still a
they're-
resident, yep.
Okay.
There's no charge. Some towns do have, I didn't put it on here, they do actually, for interment charge, we're $400. Some towns have an out-of-town interment charge price. So if you bought, you'd actually charge you more. I don't feel the need for that. It's
I'm
covers
just
that cost.
thinking of people that have lived a long time in town, the last 2 years may be out of town because of illness, et cetera.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't affect them. The only way that would affect them, and I did run into that in my previous town, was that if they didn't buy before they moved out of town,
Yeah.
they were not a resident.
Okay.
I never got a chance to work on something. Another town, Hanover, does not allow non-residents. You just have to be a resident. However, they have previous residence price.
Yeah.
And it's slightly higher than the resident price. So if you could show that you had lived in town, I think for 10 years or more, and then moved, you were a resident, you could get the previous resident price.
You probably should explain this to the senior citizens through Council on Aging too.
Sure,
Just so
absolutely.
they know.
Yeah, no, if they buy now, then you move out of town, that price is locked in.
Yeah, good.
And you can even change a lot if you wanted to later on down the line, exchange it for another one at no cost.
Right. All right, so if we've got no questions or concerns, I'll make a motion that we support
Okay,
your cemetery fees effective 6/11/19.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Scott, very much for
I'll probably
coming
put this
in.
out by the 1st, I'll just change the website. And put a mailing out to the funeral homes and mining companies to let them know.
Perfect.
That way we'll just get everything all the same and everybody on the same page.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much, appreciate it, thank you.
All right, warrants. Do we have the warrants?
It should be in the front of that folder.
Okay, perfect.
Is it in the correspondence folder?
It should be clipped together, and it will tell you how much what the amount is.
Perfect. Okay. Total warrants. $3,443.01, and it was the town building maintenance. Looks like it's all pretty much town building maintenance. Yep. All right, so out of the town building maintenance account. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we need to appoint Chief Stephen Silva as our Emergency Management Director. Do we have an appointment slip for that? Would it be with the correspondence, or do you have that, Bree?
Would you like to do
Or do you want us to do them all together?
all together?
Okay, why don't we do those
I think it was done
together?
because I have the whole list. So I have one for each of you to follow.
Okay.
Pass those down.
Okay, thank you.
Christine, I'll give Christine the highlighted one. The highlighted areas are the ones that I have appointment slips for,
Okay,
and if it's, like, I don't have any of the
Circled, you
consolidated. So we could vote on this list if you wanted to go by department,
that's perfect.
okay,
Okay.
instead of and we could get the slip signed.
Okay. All right,
If you
so
vote here.
why don't we do the appointments now? So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint the following individuals to the following committees. So to Area 58 Community Access TV, one-year appointment for Karen Foy and Mark Russo. To Wendy Jones, Board of Assessors, that's a 3-year appointment. Board of Health, Kathy Drynan, Robert Tinkham Jr., and Amos A. Wood for 3 years. Building Department, William Kelly Jr. and Tom Milius for 1 year. And Community Preservation Committee, Deb Anderson, Irv Butler, Susan Ossoff for 3-year appointments. Conservation Commission, Caitlin Nover, Amy Cronin, and Marty Nover. These are 3-year appointments. Then Council on Aging Director, Joy Marble. It's a 1-year appointment. Emergency Management, Scott Ripley, Stephen Silva, John Schusted, 1-year appointment. Fire Department, Paul Lamoureux, how do you say his last name? Okay. Cheryl Davis, Jeff Mariani, and John Schusted for 1-year appointments. Harry Jason Jr., Park Study and Development, Jacqueline Freitas, it's a 3-year appointment. Highway Superintendent Scott Ripley, 1-year appointment. Historic District Commission, Jennifer McDonald, Mary Lee's.
no
Oh,
submission.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear anything.
Thank you. Actually, the Harry Jason was no submission
Yes, I know
either.
submission for that.
All right,
So we're
so
skipping over them?
we're going to skip Harry Jason for Jacqueline Freitas and Historic District Commission. So moving on to Historical Commission, Jill Pallenstein, 3-year appointment. Old Colony Elder Services, Kristen Uniacki, it's a 1-year appointment. Open Space Committee, Susan Ossoff, Jane Schultz, and Ted Taranto, 3-year appointments. Plumbing and Gas, Tom Bouchard and Douglas Hawthorne, 1-year appointments. To the Police Department, these are 1-year appointments. Matthew All, James Bolter, Kevin Brower, Christine Callahan, Ronald Clark, Wendella Crawford, James Crenshaw, Cheryl Davis, Scott DiNicola, Pat Dillon, John Edmondson III, Mark Gabriel, Michael Gannon.
Gagnon.
Michael what? Gagnon. Frederick Glenn, Glenn Lindsay, Jeffrey Maligno, Christian Oberg, Michael O'Donnell, Scott Peterson, John Simon, and Matthew Terenzi. Once again, those were 1-year appointments. Let's see, the Treasurer's Office, Christine Kelly and Colleen Moran, Those are, actually Colleen is a contract, so it's just Christine Kelly. Is that a one-year appointment?
Christine is a one-year appointment.
Okay, so that's a one-year appointment. And then the town clerk's office, we don't actually make that appointment. That's made by the town clerk.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. For Veteran Services, Roxanne Whitvick, that's a one-year appointment. Wage and Personnel Board, Elise Lyons, 3 years. Wiring Inspector, Stephen Peterson and Linus Farley, that's a one-year appointment. Zoning Board of Appeals, Dave Alberti, that's a 3-year appointment. And Zoning Enforcement Officer, Alan B. Fraser, and that is a one-year appointment.
And I didn't know if you just want to read that very quickly.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a replacement of.
Okay,
not on.
well, let's add to these appointments, too. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Chief Stephen Silva as the Emergency Management Director.
He was on here.
And, oh, it wasn't here?
Yes.
And appoint, was Dominique Sampson in there for bylaw review? And to appoint Dominique Sampson to the Bylaw Review Committee.
I'll second all those appointments.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Maybe we make a note, I abstain on the Area 58
Yep.
on appointing myself.
On your own? Yep, got it, okay.
And I'm saying Dominique Sampson.
Yes. Mark abstain. Okay, and then Board of Registrars, do we make those appointments?
I'm unsure about. It might be safer to make those, and then if they're not necessary, it's kind of a moot point.
Sure. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we appoint Patricia Detterman to the Board of Registrar until June 30th, 2020, and Patricia Detterman to the Records Access Officer, and that is indefinite. Do we have a, do you want to do hers first?
Okay.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then lastly, we have Pat Dillon as Police Chief until 6/30/2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect.
I did that separately from that other list.
Yeah.
Because it was just a... John was second on all of those, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Makes it easier for now.
Sure does.
Well, I can always be thinking, I don't care one of us.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
as long as it's the same person.
Would you like to stop by at some point and do the...
Sure, yeah, I'll do it after the meeting.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so appointments are done. Disposition of town-owned land procedure. So you
I
emailed us some
resent-
documents?
Yes, I resent
I thought that was good.
the policy. I added to it somewhat. And then I also extended the internal checklist. I think as far as the procedure, after I had spoke with the treasurer collector, because she's normally the steward for any type of auctions for the actual disposition of the property. And we came up with a time frame of October. So if the board reviewed the list, the first meeting that you have in October, it took a formal vote to send the list with the blank checklist to the various town boards that I have included here in the policy. Our thought was that people could kind of, each respective department could fill in their relevant information on the checklist. Because some of it's more like information that you've gathered from the assessor's office, some might come from conservation and that sort of thing. And then it also affords them an opportunity to say if they have a reason for having interest in the property or a desire to retain it as town-owned. And then if all of those came back to us, maybe within 6 weeks or so of distribution, we may want to say 8 weeks, just in case some of the part-time boards don't have a chance to meet. I thought of that after I had sort of formalized this in print. And then the ones that we receive no response on, that there's no interest, then we could look at the information that's been completed on the checklist and make a determination if we're interested in disposing of it or not. My thought, and this is just my opinion, is that if some of these entities are interested in the property, I don't see any reason why we would want to sell it necessarily. If somebody has a valid reason for being interested, that might be counterproductive to the exercise. The other thing that we do have to account for, Quite often, private parties or abutters, they express interest in very specific parcels. So I thought that if that's the case, we could make note of it on that master list when it gets sent out in October, so everybody knows, hey, this person kind of has their eye on this piece, should it become available, so that people can, just as a point of reference, so that we know what people are inquiring about, and maybe could get an idea if somebody wanted something just to round out their own piece of land versus, you know, are we creating an opening for a large project, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I liked what you put together. The only thing I would add is that, say, on the back of that sheet, we actually put who should sign, much as we do on, say, a building permit. So it lists the...
Should we do sign-offs, do you
Yeah.
think, on the checklist? Or do you think there should be a separate document that
No,
just,
I think it could go right on that.
okay, so sign off once they've
Just so that there's no
reviewed it and
question
filled
they
in the
saw it,
info?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So add a sign-off.
But not like a permit where one group signs off and then it goes to the next group, right? They're all going to have to sign off on it individually, because otherwise that could delay
I think they should sign
it.
up, just so we know that conservation's seen it, planning's seen it. You know.
Okay,
But not
And if
necessarily
they can
on
just
one
put
sheet.
not applicable if they think it's,
okay.
you know.
I'm just afraid if it's one sheet, it could delay
That
the
would really
sign off
delay it if it's one sheet. I think we could assemble a little packet. so
with
we'll have-
everybody's sign off on it.
I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
If we did that. And I think maybe we should reconsider and change it and have it be due back within 8 weeks of distribution. I just don't want to put a burden on some of the smaller boards.
Okay. What about adding the Historic Commission as a sign-off, just in case a parcel of land has some historic value that we're not
That's-
aware of?
That's a good one, okay.
But I thought that would then hit the Historic District Commission
Sure.
too, because they're pretty
Okay.
much the same players.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
I'll make these and get a final version out before the next meeting on the 8th.
Perfect. All right, so at our last meeting, we went down and toured the basement office and the outside of the building. And today, we're discussing the temporary relocation of basement offices. So is that the plan, is that we're going to move the basement offices to the former police station?
Yeah.
I think so. I had wanted that to be put on there just to keep the discussion going. I think that the folks who work downstairs they're ready to go.
Okay.
They even expressed that they were willing to basically move in there as is, which I don't think is the best idea, but I was hoping that we could establish a timeline so that people aren't waiting and wondering. Maybe ask Chief Dillon to have any last-minute stuff removed from there, because there's still a few lingering things, removed from there by July 1st. That should fit in fine, I would imagine, with his timeline. And then if we could bring Steve in there and just kind of clean it up, see if there's anything, like little things that we might need to do, just to get it ready also for the public. If they're going to be visiting these offices, we do need it to be somewhat presentable
Sure.
in there. And then maybe aim to allow them to move up there like August 1st. I just know that they're eager to kind of...
I agree, I talked to
And-
Tom and Kathy
Yeah, and they
today.
understand
Okay.
that it's not a permanent
Right,
home
Right.
necessarily, that they have to be
Yeah.
flexible and everything, but I think just to kind of keep this moving, I don't want it that we get so overwhelmed by all of the work that's needed up there that we're not utilizing the space.
My only concern, I mentioned to you earlier today, is I know they want to get out from downstairs no matter how it looks, but the public will be visiting them
Right.
upstairs. And I think Steve doing a little simple stuff like painting could make a huge difference. Maybe even a sign up there that this is a temporary home, just so we recognize
Sure.
we're not, sticking them in the shambles that are
Please
left.
pardon our appearance during construction.
Thanks. Thank you. And then we can leave that there for 3 years.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. That's,
And then we also have, the fire department was interested, and the chief can correct me if I'm wrong, about some record storage space.
Yes, if there was even just a small room that we could all.
Yes, so we could make a provision for that, and also another big one, which I can get into it more during my update, but our IT person desperately wants to get the server off the floor in the assessor's office, and they have a secure IT room in the old station that he said would fit perfect. It's already built for that. It looks like a glorified closet, basically. So I'd like him to move that stuff in there too. And I can get more into it after, but we're having an IT audit done, and that's one of the things that will be given demerits for if the stuff is on the floor in a private office, so. If we could get all that stuff going and maybe aim for an August 1st,
So,
kind of giving them the green light to move the stuff, I think, I'd just like to see a timeline attached to it if we could, because I
yeah,
have people
I
asking
think
me
August
every day.
1st makes a lot of sense. It sort of begs the question of then what do we do with the basement? Because that's
Right,
the next thing we're going to have to figure out, and that's not going to be easy or cheap, I got a feeling.
Right.
Though, Liz, you can update on that fellow we talked to today, because there
yes.
was things around that.
Okay. So the feeling is just the services that are downstairs, basically the building department, conservation, I think, is
Yeah.
down there,
The
planning board,
inspectors.
all the
Planning.
inspectors, all of those will move up. So the Council on Aging will not be moving in there at this
I don't
time.
think we should do that right
No.
now.
Okay,
I think that'll create accessibility issues and,
There's
Okay.
only one person who's really moving, which is the building agent administrative assistant. Who's full-time. The other
Kathy,
ones are
day to
just
day. The
yeah,
other people, it's more or less, you know.
meetings,
Yeah.
things like that.
okay, okay.
And then the one other thing I'd just emphasize that maybe we all have to keep sort of proselytizing is this is temporary until
Yes,
we get a master
absolutely.
plan, and we just don't want people to get too encamped until we figure this out on.
Yeah, don't put any nails in the wall.
If you'd like, I could draft an email to all the folks downstairs and run it by the board first. And then that way they get one clear, concise message, and they're not hearing different things
Yep.
from me or
Perfect.
any of you.
Right.
And
That sounds good.
it's one message.
Okay. All right, that sounds like an aggressive timetable, but it's good. Get things moving.
Okay.
All right, so do we need to make a vote, or we just,
No, that's
we're in
fine.
agreement that we like the plan? Okay,
Agreed.
perfect. Okay, so we already did the board and committee appointments in our, the appointments that we did earlier. Long-range master plan for town campus, I think we're closer to actually getting it, or did we get
have
it? We did get
have
it.
I have your bound copy actually in
Okay,
the office.
perfect.
So we do have that.
Okay. All right, so senior citizens needs shared services. So we did learn that we are eligible to apply for a grant.
Yeah, some of this is in my update, but.
Okay, well then why don't we
Do you
just,
want me to do that one now or no?
no, that's all right. So why don't we just, we'll check that off. So grant acquisition, is that in your update?
Yes.
Okay, check. All right, continue professionalization of town general and financial operations. That's probably in your report?
Yep.
All right, volunteer outreach, strengthen town committees, boards, and commissions. We're working on that, and I have not had a meeting yet. I won't meet with CASA until August, and I still have not heard from PAYS, but I have spoken with people who were formerly involved with PAYS and with a soccer program, and they thought that we would definitely be able to get some people serving on the Recreation Commission, if nothing else.
Yeah, good.
All right, so, all right, explore affordable housing opportunities and use at the town-owned land and buildings.
Liz will be
Update.
updating that.
Okay. We should just put all this under your update. All right, support town administrator goals.
Goes without saying.
Yep, exactly. Continue protecting town's natural resources and unique character. We're working on a proposal to help us do that with the land auction. Encourage fiscally sound governance. We try to do this every day.
So before Liz gives her update, because she's going to have a lot to say, I did contact the colleges to look for an intern. So Quincy College, Curry College, and UMass. And for the two interns, one would be the financial management intern, and the other one would be the technology management intern, which will fit into what Liz is talking about.
So you're just waiting to hear back from them?
Yes, I was, I thought this was an easy process. And then I got to look at the companies. Everybody is there. I mean, big companies. So I don't know how little town of Plympton's going to do, but maybe somebody likes local government. We'll see.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. All right, town administrator updates.
Okay, so I've completed the preliminary application process with the state to enroll us in their free IT audit program. What it entails, they will send out an independent company within the next month or two, and they will perform an IT health check on the town. They look at everything from a very broad perspective, including equipment inventory. They'll look at our operating system, security risks, data backup procedures, and they'll put together a report. From what they said, the final deliverable will be a high-level report. It'll tie in all the findings to generally accepted IT best practices, and they've assured me that the format will be one that's easily presentable, whether it be to townspeople or to various boards. So it's something that we'll be able to work with and that will be somewhat user-friendly when they finish. They also told me that they have a similar program for a free cybersecurity checkup that they also recommend doing, but they said to wait until the IT one is done and until we've had a chance to implement some things. Otherwise, you won't get that much out of it if they're identifying the same problems.
Right.
So once they reach out to me, what I need to find out about, I know that the police department kind of does their own thing. They're on their own network, their own server, everything. But I'll coordinate with the fire chief to see if there's any resources that he might be able to use over there. We're going to leave the library alone for now because they're part of the sales network and on their own system. So it would really be us, fire, and highway as far as the overall kind of checkup, because we all have the emails on the same servers and that kind of thing.
But they will touch on how we should approach boards and committees, right?
They will.
Yeah,
They're going to
okay.
look at all of that as far as email addresses and access and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I think it'll be a helpful exercise.
I do
I
too.
started getting estimates from some of my fellow managers on having a private company that you would pay for to do an in-depth IT audit, and it's no small amount. I mean, some of the quotes I was getting were like over $60,000. So if we can start out with the state doing this free checkup for us, just to at least know our status and where we're at and how to move forward, I think that that'll be a step in the right direction. We've posted the job opening for the animal control officer, and I can actually acknowledge it now. We do have his resignation letter. It was in correspondence. He is willing to stay on board until we have a suitable replacement, which is nice.
That's very nice.
So the position will be open through July 1st. So if anybody's interested in that. I did reach out to Bristol Aggie to see if they have any recent grads who might be looking for something very part-time. I haven't heard back from any of them yet.
She left a message.
Did she leave a message
Yes, and
today?
yes,
Okay.
yes, today, late today.
All right, perfect. So I'll call her back then. But we're trying to put some feelers out and advertising, in the paper and everything. So the templates are coming in from some of my colleagues for the performance evaluations. And I have a meeting with some of my colleagues from the South Shore at the end of next week. So I'll try to kind of nail that down. That's for the performance evaluations for wage and personnel, what we voted at town meeting.
Okay.
And then I will be meeting with wage and personnel to go over all the different templates that we get in, and for that purpose. We had a meeting earlier today, John sat in on it, regarding the MassWorks funding process and to see if it's feasible to take another look at the Ring Road Main Street intersection. What came out of that discussion is that it is feasible, and maybe we could look at doing a smaller scale plan that doesn't involve several different lanes and doesn't really change the character of that area, but does make it safe and kind of bring it up to code and current standards. So the end point with that for now, MassWorks applications are due in August, I believe. We have somebody who would help us fill out the application, but I think what the plan is first is to see if they can overlay a conceptual design on some old plans and give us something that maybe at one of our July meetings we could show the public and kind of say, this is what we're applying to do, this is what it would look like, and hear any concerns up front so that it could be taken into consideration when we apply for the grant. So that's where we stand on that one. For the Housing Choice Grant that's due in July, it sounds like what would be most applicable for us would be if we applied for funds. Typically it's $100,000 that you get, and you have to be able to show, if you're not building something for existing housing, you have to show that you're trying to plan to add housing. So we were thinking if we applied for the town center campus and said that we had considered putting housing out back and maybe get the $100,000, and then we could hire, go with a real planning engineering consultant to kind of take that little OCPC plan to the next level, and they could conduct a professional planning study on the town center campus and give us that deliverable that we're really looking for. And they could convene the necessary public workshops and basically the OCPC plan, but like tenfold and done, you know what I mean, with the whole group of professionals who are being paid for that purpose. So that seems like probably the most applicable for us, because I can't really think of anywhere that, you know, needs, let's say, a handicap ramp installed to make it so that people who live in X housing community feel like they can now access a building. Like, it's very specific what you can apply for and what you can't. So if you're interested in that, that one's a very tight time frame. But if you want to go the route of 100,000, hopefully, for this engineer planner to come on board, and
that would give us our master plan.
that would give us our master plan.
Sounds good.
I think so. I think we should go for it.
That sounds
They
real
would
good.
be in charge, that would be what they were getting compensated for. So they would be in charge of getting all the stakeholders on board and in the same room convening all the meetings. If we are successful with the grant, I would say our next step would be, if we want to take that public safety building committee and kind of convert it into the master planning committee, so that that way the consultant would have a direct contact and wouldn't have to wait, say if they went through me and then I'm waiting for a selectmen's meeting to come to you. Similar to how we ran with the police station construction, really, have this other committee in place to make some decisions, and, but that's if we
But
get
I-
the grant.
yeah.
So I don't want to
Yeah.
get too far ahead, but.
Because there may be one or two people that we want to, you know, decide, do we want to add more than that or not?
Right.
But I agree with the way you want to go. I think that's the correct way.
Sounds good.
Okay.
What's the timeline?
I think it's due July 11th.
Oh, boy.
Maybe it's quick.
Okay.
But he said that he would help us with it, right?
Yes.
Oh,
So-
good.
So
Okay,
I'm
excellent.
hopeful that we'll
Okay.
get some help.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
Kind of get that put together.
Great.
I've been gathering quotes for the library doors. We had the first one that Steve Sorrow got. I've reached out to 2 other companies. One of them wants to come out later this week, and the other one just wanted pictures of the doors, which I've since sent him this morning. So I'm waiting to hear back. We really should have our 3 quotes before we award. It's under 10,000, so it's best practices, but we were in like kind of the 7,000 range. So I just think it's better, at least to try to obtain the quotes. As Christine mentioned, we received confirmation from the state that we would be eligible for another efficiency and regionalization grant if funding is available. This would be for the purpose of looking at sharing Council on Aging services, maybe with Carver or Halifax. We found out in contacting them that even though we had to give back that funding for the last one, that we still had to properly close it out. So we filed everything with them now to close out the old 2018 grant.
So refresh my memory.
That was the 20,000 for the MRI study.
Oh, okay.
And then we were supposed to have more, but we didn't utilize it, so they didn't give it to us. So that paperwork has all been filled out. They sounded uncertain if there would be funding available or not. That was the caveat. Like, if funding is available, then yes, you'd be eligible. So we'll see. I think it's a good idea to look at the COA stuff, but I also don't know how seriously they would take an application coming right on the heels of the other one, and kind of how that went.
I hope that we can turn that into a positive rather than a negative. I mean, we ended up deciding not to share services, but that money that was spent went to an analysis of the possibilities and seeing the potential, but then also seeing enough pitfalls that wasn't a good thing to do. So that wasn't wasted. And in fact,
it wasn't.
It brought us to a really good place.
True.
And I hope maybe when we apply for the next grant, that if we need to, if we can sort of imply that money did go to good use.
So we did sort of imply that in our communications with them. I think I put Christine on that. And they seemed a lot happier about it once we closed out the 2018. Like, I didn't realize when I contacted them, they said, "And you haven't even closed out the 2018 grant," which was, so that's all been done, and they seemed to understand where we were coming from on that. So,
Good.
I met with Linda Letty regarding the Open Space Committee and their initiative that they've been working a little bit with the planning board on to examine open space residential development as an option in our zoning. So what we decided to do, because we had to kind of act quickly with respect to a few different things. So Linda's group had been told that they were going to have some free kind of volunteer help with authoring that type of zoning for people's consideration. That offer fell through for some unexpected reasons. And then she had contacted our regional planning agency, OCPC, to see if they had funding available. When she talked to Lori said, well, this would have been a good DLTA project. But obviously we didn't know at that time that they weren't going to have this free help. So we had received the DLTA award for our zoning map to update it. It was a considerable amount that they factored in for that. But now if we're going to do this other zoning potentially and try to go to town meeting with it, the map would change anyway. So what Linda and I are working with OCPC on now is to see if they can kind of adjust our grant award a little bit so that we're not doing things out of sequence and utilize that technical assistance funding so that Lori, who's a planner with OCPC, can work with our open space committee, write that zoning, and then maybe next year update the map. Because we don't want to put the cart before the horse and have an updated map that we know we're trying to change. So I'm waiting to hear back from Pat Sierramella, just to make sure that it meets everything on their end.
He's on vacation for a
Is
couple of
he?
weeks.
Okay.
You're going to
I
have,
put Lori on it too,
Okay.
so I'm hoping.
okay. Yeah, because he's retiring, gosh, in September, I think.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind too, if there's a delay. hearing
It's
back
probably
from him.
'cause
I did not
he's-
get
yeah.
an away message.
Okay.
It went through.
Oh, good, so maybe Charlie's handling them. Okay.
So there was that, and our auditors were back here today. I think that they're deconstructing some things from town meeting, specifically special town meeting, so things are moving along.
Great.
You might want to just mention, this fellow that came in today, one of the things I took away from that was the sheer amount of grants that are available if we get our ducks in order.
Right,
And I think that's a key component, so
yes.
there's a lot of money.
Oh, the fire chief.
Do you want me to do correspondence?
Chief, did you have anything for us?
No, I just thought I'd come in.
All right, perfect. We did appoint you as the Emergency Management Director. You're very welcome.
All right.
So
Can I
correspondence.
just mention that Chief gave such a wonderful speech at the little flag
did.
ceremony. We knew we had a talented guy. That was wonderful.
You
Thank you
did do a
so
great
much.
job. You did.
Correspondence.
So I have a letter here.
It's in correspondence.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a letter here. It came through an email from Jill M. Pallenstein, president of the Plympton Historical Society, and she sent this to Joy Marble, our Council on Aging director. It says, "Good morning. I am writing to you in regard to some information that was shared with me concerning the present and future use of the old townhouse. As you may know, we are in negotiations with the town regarding the Plympton Historical Society's future use of the building at 189 Main Street, and there are some issues that I would like to take the opportunity to clarify. Until the license with the town has been finalized, lease agreement, PHS will continue to take financial responsibility for the heat, electricity, and Wi-Fi for the building. We have many community events planned for this summer and fall, including art camps for kids, craft classes for pottery and painting, an antiques fair in the fall, and a festival of trees and holiday house tour in December. We were so happy to know that the events that you planned earlier this year, the Valentine's Day luncheon and the Veterans event, were so well received. We hope that the COA will continue to consider using the function room for events. In the spirit of community collaboration and as a gesture of future cooperation between PHS and the Council on Aging, we would like to extend an offer to allow the current Zumba instructor to utilize the facility free of charge until the end of 2019. We understand there has been some concern of the seniors over the cost of the classes, and we feel it is a way that PHS can help. Perhaps the grant that is given to Lori Hunter to defray some of the cost of renting the space could be used instead to lower the cost of the classes for the seniors. The PHS board would welcome the opportunity to collaborate with the COA on future events and hope that this gesture gives some relief to Plympton seniors in some small measure. Please feel free to share this letter with your seniors, as we feel it is important that they know they are supported by PHS. Sincerely, Jill M. Pallenstein, President, Plympton Historical Society."
Very nice.
Yes. We have a letter here from Deb Anderson. It is with mixed emotions that I announce to you all that this will be my last planning board meeting. Dominique Sampson has expressed an interest in joining the board, and I suggest you might call her so you will have a full board at the soonest possible time. I'll run a paragraph or two in the newspaper announcing the vacancies, so perhaps we'll get another star like John Schmid. It has been a pleasure working with all of you, and I wish you the very best. Sincerely, Deborah Anderson.
Darn.
Yeah, darn is
That's a
right.
big loss.
That's not good.
Yeah, she's done a really nice job on planning board.
Yes, she has.
We have
Get the backstory on it.
a letter here From Kathleen Ferguson, member of the Plympton Memorial Day Committee. Dear Bridgette, during the preparation for this year's Memorial Day Parade and ceremony, an issue came up about the above-captioned town property. The subject of this letter is Old Town House, 189 Main Street, Plympton, Mass. For reference. It says, it has been my understanding that the Plympton Selectmen voted to refer to the building at 189 Main Street by its correct name, Old Town House. That this is a town-owned building which may at times be leased or rented to outside groups. It is also my understanding that the building and surrounding land may be used by outside groups via the request for use of town property form. During the preparation for the 2019 parade and ceremony, the Memorial Day Committee made arrangements for a porta potty to be available to all parade participants before the parade and to all members of the public who would attend any event held after the ceremony by any group leasing the building. I would request clarification from the Selectmen regarding which town department is responsible for granting permission for these arrangements for town-owned properties in the future. The Memorial Day Committee made and will continue to make every effort in the committee's advertisements prepared for publication on social media, the town website, and in the newspaper to use the correct name. Unfortunately, the building continues to be referred to incorrectly on notices posted from other town departments and entities as the Historical Society or the Historical Society Building. I would respectfully ask the Selectmen to reach out to any and all town departments and groups and reiterate and reconfirm the board's decision regarding the proper legal name of the building located at 189 Main Street. I look forward to serving the town in my capacity as a member of the Memorial Day Committee in the future, and thank you for your consideration in this matter. So she
Can I
is seeking
just-
response.
A comment?
Well, I'm not really clear what's the question is, what's
She's
she asking?
asking for clarification regarding which department is responsible for granting permission for these arrangements for town-owned
So
properties.
let's take that one first.
Okay,
When this came up, Bree asked about this, and Mr. Chairman, I just sent a letter, an email saying, look, we're going to put in the porta potty. Because that's the way we've done it in the past. And just said, we don't want to overtax the septic system. And I sent it to Jill, and that was fine. So I don't think there was an issue there. It's the selectmen's responsibility since we're the keeper of the buildings. And if Kathy needs it, we can just say that.
And then it also says, I would respectfully ask the Selectmen to reach out to any and all town departments and groups and reiterate and reconfirm the board's decision regarding the proper legal name of the building. So she
So-
wants clarification, I guess, that it's the Old Townhouse and not.
Yeah, for years it was
Otherwise.
known as Historical Society. If you said Historical Society, you knew what was meant. One of the things we talked about at one of our prior meetings, and this goes back maybe 6 months, a year ago, is that after we finished with the painting and the windows, that we put up in the same place where it said Plympton Historical Society, that would say Plympton Old Town House. And the Historical Society has a sign. They've asked us to have signage, which would be taken care of by putting that on the building. And I think that would just correct itself over time. People will see it and they'll know what we're talking about. So I don't know that we...
it was part of the project, right? To put, when
When
it
you
was done?
voted,
Yeah.
you voted to name the building
Yeah.
at one of the meetings.
I know I brought it up because,
Right.
just to clarify. So
What is?
I think we just have to finish that now, and if you agree, obviously that we get somebody to put up Old Town House.
We did discuss this 6 months or a year ago,
Yeah.
that we would move to more formally call the building the Old Townhouse rather than the PHS building, and it'll take time for people to
Yeah.
adjust. I mean, it's readily clear, the town owns the building. PHS has been using it in the past. The form that the use will be presently and moving forward is evolving. We're continuing to work on clarification of all that, and we'll get there.
Yeah, and it's always been our
You know,
hope to have, the PHS as the primary tenant, so.
Yep.
But there will be room for other things like council on aging events, and I hope others.
Okay.
Can we refer to it as both?
No, it is the old townhouse.
Okay,
And that's what we voted on.
okay.
We have some end-of-the-year transfers from the town accountant, and we just need signature on it. So the board will be signing over at the left, and then I have to forward this
These
to
are
the finance committee.
reserve fund transfers?
No, so these
Oh,
are just
these are
coming from
various
the
lines.
excesses to balance out
Yeah.
all the lines.
Just take it from one and put it in
Yeah.
another.
So, do we need to vote on this?
I would take a
Probably
vote
do.
maybe just to be safe and just to vote to approve the end-of-the-year transfers from the town accountant.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then in the Plympton Halifax Express, there were some great photos from the Ride Your Bike to That Day. That came out really nice, so. And that does it for me for correspondence.
All right.
Do you get these back? Or-
I'll take that.
Okay.
All right, so we've done the town administrator update, we've done correspondence, dates to remember, the townhouse is closed on Monday, July 4th. Is it a Monday?
No, it's not a
Wednesday.
Monday.
Wednesday, okay, thank you, Wednesday, July 4th.
Monday on that?
No, I just,
Okay,
flaky.
I'm like, oh, no.
Let's see, next meeting will be 7/8 at 6 PM. So we're meeting in July, 7/8 and 7/22. And then the townhouse summer hours will begin July 1st,
I couldn't really
right?
see a difference between the summer hours and the hours we got.
No, not for us, but they're closed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so the
yes,
summer hours are basically for the rest of the
Yeah.
townhouse. They're going to adopt our hours, and they will be closed, or they'll be open for business when the nights we're meeting,
Yeah.
which is the 8th and the 22nd.
So July 1st they start, yes,
Yeah,
you were right.
so,
Yep.
yeah, the hours start 7/1. All right, minutes, open session 6/3. I don't think we have these.
You don't.
Okay. Did we have we had the executive session for
I sent
6/3,
them
didn't
out, I
we?
don't know.
We did. I think maybe we have to discuss those in the next executive
Okay,
session.
all right, so we'll hold both the minutes. Okay, so we're pretty much wrapped. How about rants and raves?
So I continue to have a rave for the people in town that put together things like today's ceremony. I think it's too bad that it took a tragedy to do it, but people are committed to this town. You see it on Facebook all the time. People say, they'll be talking on some subject, and then they'll say, I love this town. So our little village is good.
I'll second that, and to Liz and the chief for really coming together in a pretty short period of time and putting together a very nice program. So thank you very much for your efforts, and beautiful flag, such a generous donation from the family, working through, obviously, such a heartfelt tragedy, and to come to us and make such a generous donation and appreciation of basically the first responders, their actions. So that was really very thoughtful of them.
Yes, it was.
And it was nice to have such a nice turnout.
So two raves, I will echo that. I think those kind of dedications have a way sometimes of being very formulaic and all the right words said, but without any feeling, and somehow that little ceremony is just heartfelt and real words with real meaning. So that was beautiful. And then the second rave, I think our town administrator's report tonight shows a whole bunch of really proactive work going on, which is exactly what we want to be doing. I'm thrilled that she's doing it and thrilled that we're all doing it.
Yeah. Teamwork.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so I think that's it for us. So we will be meeting again on the
We
8th.
have to
So
sign them?
no, we can sign those after the fact.
Okay.
All right, so if we don't have anything else, let's wrap it up. All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Yahoo!
All right, safe and happy 4th. Good night.